Anime is fantastic, and in 2022, there is so much choice as to what to watch, where to watch it, and whether to dedicate the next 100 hours of your life watching it. But one thing I love about anime is that all is not what it seems, because looks can be oh so deceiving. You see, sometimes you're introduced to a character, and you think, wow, they're going to be so strong, and they end up being completely trash. But on the flip side, sometimes we're introduced to characters that we think are going to be extremely weak, with no potential whatsoever, and they end up being the most OP characters pretty much in most of anime. So welcome to the channel, it's me, Premps, and today we're going to be taking a look at anime that I've watched and my top 5 main characters that look weak but are crazy overpowered. But before I get started, please make sure you leave a like on the video, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel for more top 5s, top 10s, anime and manga reviews, and also so much more. And now those formalities are out of the way, let's get into this video. And at number 5, I'm going to start off with Black Clover. You see, the MC of Black Clover is a boy named Asta, and the world he grows up in is solely relying on magic power. And those with the most magic power tend to come from royal families, and those with the least tend to be peasants from the outer villages. Now, as you might have guessed, our MC Asta is born without any magic power whatsoever. And the craziest thing of all is that it's probably harder to be born without any magic power than it is to be born with OP magic power. Asta, however, is such a motivated individual, and his aim is to become the Wizard King, which is the strongest individual out of all the magic knights. And so in order to negate the fact that he has no magic, he works out harder than any other individual in order to enhance his physical strength. And this ends up being extremely beneficial, because the fact that he has no magic allows him to obtain a strange power. A power that gives him these strange elf swords, the power of a devil, and the power to negate magic. Asta continues to train his butt off, utilizing the power he's been granted, and without spoiling the story anymore, he ends up becoming ridiculously OP. At number 4, I've gone for Boku no Hero, or some may call it My Hero Academia. And you see, similar to Black Clover at number 5, the MC of My Hero is Izuku Midoriya, and he actually goes by the hero named Deku. And the actual story is set in a world where most of the human population has gained the ability to develop superpowers called quirks. Now, these quirks tend to develop in kids around the age of 4, and about 80% of the population have a quirk. There are an endless number of quirks, and it is extremely unlikely to find 2 people who have the exact same power unless they're kind of like closely related. Now, among all the quirk enhanced individuals, a few of them earn the title of heroes, and they cooperate with the authorities in order to help in rescue operations and catch criminals and stuff like that, and others who use their quirk powers for evil, which are known as villains. Now, Deku's aim is to be like his idol, a man named All Might, and he is the number 1 hero in the verse. But as you may have guessed, Deku was actually part of that 20% who didn't have a quirk manifest, and so he's pretty much powerless. I mean, some would say useless. And that was until one day where he met his idol All Might, and things completely changed. You see, being born with a quirk was not the only way to gain a quirk, and All Might sees the resolve in Deku and gives him a lifeline, as he is able to pass his quirk onto him in the hope that Deku can become the number 1 hero too. And boy, this has been crazy interesting, because every step of the way we learn more and more about this so-called quirk that's been passed on to Deku, and how this power is even more OP than we even imagined it could be. And right now, as it stands, Deku has the potential to be the most OP character in the verse ever. And at number 3, I've gone with Attack on Titan. And I understand that this might be a bit controversial, but if we're talking about a weak MC that becomes crazy overpowered, then this definitely fits the bill somehow. You see, Attack on Titan is set in a world where humanity lives inside these cities, surrounded by enormous walls, and they protect them from titans, who are these kind of like huge, gigantic humanoid creatures that devour humans, and it seems like it's for no reason. The story follows our MC Eren Yeager, who's actually hell-bent on revenge once a titan, which we end up finding is the Colossal Titan, breaks the walls into the inner city and ends up causing so much destruction, which ultimately leads to the death of his mother. With Eren hell-bent on revenge, he joins what we call the Survey Corps, who proactively fight and kill these titans. Now, although it seems that Eren has no talent whatsoever, and he's quite useless at first, his determination has him selected into the Survey Corps, and when faced with danger, he ends up transforming into a titan himself, and he was completely surprised. Now, this is just the beginning of the story, because we learn that these titans have different uses, and Eren ends up having more than just one power. And honestly, I don't want to spoil it anymore, but Eren definitely becomes so overpowered. And at number 2, I have That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. And this is actually one of my favourite animes, if I'm honest. The story follows a 37-year-old corporate worker named Satoru Mikami, and he has a lonely, mundane life before he's stabbed by a robber in the street and he's reincarnated into this fantasy and unfamiliar world, but he's not a human this time, but a slime. Now, in this realm, slimes are thought to be the weakest of creatures, and that's what brings the shock, because as a slime, he acquires new skills such as Predator, which allows him to devour anything and mimic its appearance and skills. Now, in the cave that he reincarnated in, he comes across a storm dragon named Veldora, who was actually sealed for the last 300 years due to reducing a town to complete ashes. And long story short, Satoru and Veldora become friends, with Veldora giving him the name Rimuru and receiving the name Tempest in return. Satoru, now known as Rimuru, then consumes Veldora the dragon, together with his prison, in order to analyze the spell that was used to seal him in it, and eventually free him. Now, with the knowledge and power that Rimuru has, and the strength that he gains over time, he grows at an extremely significant rate. And as I don't want to spoil this anime too much, in regards to where I am now in the story, Rimuru Tempest is easily overpowered, and top 10, if not top 5 in the verse. And lastly, at number 1, would it be your top 5 list if I didn't include One Punch Man? You see, One Punch Man probably epitomizes what it means to be a regular, weak individual and end up becoming the most OP person. And I don't really need to explain the background to this story, because I'm sure pretty much most of us have seen it. But ultimately, our MC, Saitama, is actually just a regular guy who works in a grocery store, and he just wants to become a hero. So in order to do this, he started a daily training schedule, which consisted of 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats, along with a 10k run every single day. And ultimately, this led to the great Saitama as we know him now, and he's become so strong that he literally can defeat his opponents with a single punch. And I'm not sure about you guys and girls, but if I could defeat anyone with a single punch, I think that's the definition of OP. But let me know what you guys and girls think. I do have to highlight that this video is in no particular order, but is there any anime that you think that should be in this list that I haven't included? Let me know down in the comments. Also, tell me if you think I've got any of this wrong. I must admit there's always room for improvement, and maybe you have better ideas than me. These are the anime that I've watched, and so what I've judged it by. But please let me know your top 5 lists down in the comments. But guys and girls, I've been Premps, and if you've liked anything I've had to say, then please make sure you leave a like on the video. And if you like content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss out when I drop more content just like this. Say